I call to order this regular meeting of the Planning and Zoning Commission of the City of Navasota, Texas for March 14th, 2024. If you have not already silenced your mobile devices, please do so at this time and rise as able for the invocation. Delivered by you.
Not by me.
Dear Heavenly Father, as we come before you this evening to conduct business of this commission, we ask that you guide us in the decisions in which we make. There are good things coming to Navasota and continue to bless this city. We ask this in your Son's name. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Remarks of visitors, do we have any?
No, sir.
Okay. So that brings us to agenda item number 4, conduct a public hearing to receive public comments and testimony regarding a replat application submitted by Jose and Isabel Alfaro for the replat of 2 lots. The property affected is located at 505 Brozig Avenue in Navasota, Grimes County, Texas, 77868, legally described as Felder Block 72 and part of Lot 1, Block 71. And we will open the hearing at 6:01.
I have a question. What is it now? It says replat to 2 lots, but what is it now?
So currently there's a portion of one lot and a full of another.
Okay.
This particular part of town, these neighborhoods go back many, many years.
Before my birth?
I'm not sure. I don't want to guess.
Okay.
But in this particular area, they were actually platted as blocks. So it's Block 72, Block
okay.
71. And so Mr. Alfaro's property has a little bit of both, but it does encompass the entire Block 72. The replat for this property, since it is a single-family zoning district, per state law we had to notify, and that's why it's a public hearing item. We sent out quite a bit of letters to all the neighbors. So far, all the feedback I've gotten is just, hey, what's going on? Does this involve my property? No? Okay. And we don't have a lot of public input here. So there's a lot of lines on the plat. There's actually a sewer easement, a city sewer easement that runs right in the middle of the 2 lots. That sewer line's been there a long time. We got with Public Works. There's really not an issue on what's being proposed. So there's really no conflicts there. The larger lot does meet the minimum lot size for the zoning district. However, in your staff report, we outlined that the smaller lot, it meets the dimensions of the zoning district, 60 by 100, but it does not meet the minimum square footage. So if a motion to approve it is entertained, we recommend that a contingency be placed on approval pending a variance from the ZBOA. So, I think in these certain scenarios, you're right there. I think it's 500 square feet short. So that's something that ZBOA will consider. But if a motion is made to approve, staff just asked that contingency be added because it does not meet the R1A. It's our zoning district is kind of odd. The minimum dimensions are 60 by 100, but the minimum lot size is 7,000. So the math is a little off.
Yeah, it's a little bit different.
We need to fix that.
But I think it's there just because of the spirit is to get them to a little bit larger, and that's just setting the basement, right, the base floor of the size. So, but anyway, that's the only other thing that needs to be addressed. But overall, the rest of the requirements were fulfilled, and again, just that contingency.
So, what's the intent?
Right.
Mr. Alfaro is here tonight to answer those questions. Yes, sir. And name and address, please.
Yes, my name's Jose Alfaro. My intent is to build a single-family home of 1,500 square feet, right there on that lot.
Getting it in a floodplain?
Not the. I don't believe the smaller lot is. Mr. Alfaro currently lives on Lot 2-R. If it is in the flood zone, there's an elevation certificate process to go through, so that shouldn't be a too much of a hurdle.
And so this will be a house constructed on site, not brought in or anything
No,
like
ma'am,
that?
it's a new construction home.
Okay. Pretty lot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, went by and looked at it.
With the 1,500 square foot home, it would meet all the setback requirements and all that.
Yes, that's correct.
So the existing manufactured home, if the lots are divided, would it meet the setback requirement from the,
As presented, yes. So that the idea is if Mr. Alfaro does get that variance approved, on the proposed side on the plat, it actually shows you that 11-foot side setback.
okay,
Current.
With the proposed, or that new line, when you move that line, it's gonna draw that setback. Currently, he has plenty of room, obviously, there's an entire lot, but once that divided, the new property line, you measure the new setback line, and it does fall within that.
okay.
How long have you lived there?
Right around 2.5 years.
Is that right? Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
So we're still in item 4? Is that
Yeah,
correct?
Correct.
public hearing.
Hearing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Anything further? Okay, if not, we'll close the public hearing at 6:08. Bert's clock is wrong up here.
He's always out an hour behind.
And that brings us to agenda item number 5. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Consideration and possible action on a replat application submitted by Jose and Isabel Alfaro for the replat of 2 lots. The property affected is located at 505 Brozig Avenue in Navasota, Grimes County, Texas, 77868, legally described as Felder, Block 72, and part of Lot 1, Block 71.
I make a motion, we approve the replat application pending the variance approval by the Board of Adjustment.
For minimum lot size.
Or minimum lot size. Okay.
We have a motion from Commissioner Copeland with the stipulation. Any further discussion?
I second it.
A second from Commissioner Hancock. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposition? Seeing none, the motion carries. And that brings us to agenda item number 6. Conduct a public hearing to receive public comments and testimony regarding a replat application submitted by Luke and Jill Conlon for the replat of 5 lots into 3 lots. The property affected is located at 902 Victoria Avenue in Navasota, Grimes County, Texas 77868. Legally described as Felder Block 33, lots 1 through 5, acres 0.832 in all of the alley. And we will open this public hearing at 6:10. Lupe?
Mr. Chairman, Planning and Zoning Commission, again, a very similar replat, going through the public hearing process because it is in a single-family zone. So adjacent property owners were notified and very little feedback received again on this. I know Mr. Luke Conlon is here tonight if you have any questions about the intended uses. But again, this was reviewed per the zoning ordinance and subdivision ordinance. There is 2 additions. Similar to the last item, we did add some contingencies in there. We wanted to make sure that some final corrections were made to the plat, but we didn't want to slow down the process. So they're very, very minor comments. It's essentially on the plat adding a 16-foot utility easement along, along Judson, Virginia, and Victoria. And actually, I think that's not Virginia anymore, but anyway, just adding a utility easement along the public right-of-way, and then there's a special note that needs to be added for that public hearing process. But again, very minor corrections. I think the square footage was off on the larger lot, but that can just be corrected as a typo. That doesn't need a motion. So again, Mr. Conlon is here tonight if y'all have any questions about this one. But all 3 lots meet the minimum size requirements of 7,000 square feet and those minimum dimensions.
Well, I see where there was, and I drove by it, and I saw where there was a drive, or there is a driveway to nowhere there.
Mm-hmm.
And, and so I wondered what was there long time ago, before my birth again.
Probably a home, yeah.
Was it? Okay.
Is that what you call it? Is that what you call it?
He existed.
He had all of his stuff there.
You stand corrected.
And then, will there be a driveway, any driveways cut on Judson then, or anything?
I'm assuming that when those homes are built, they'll probably both face Judson.
So we're talking there's gonna be some homes built there?
I mean, I'm assuming, I don't know. I mean, Mr.
Mr.
Collins.
Conlon, would you
Yeah.
step up, please?
Yes, sir.
Hello,
State your name and address for the record, please.
my name is Luke Conlon. I am the resident at 902 Victoria Street, Navasota, Texas 77868. The intent is to provide these lots for residential homes with the expectation that a driveway would be cut for 1 lot on Judson, and given the opportunity then to access the corner lot either via Judson or Virginia.
Okay. And so will they have to come back through planning and zoning for the potential homes?
Not for the homes,
Okay.
no ma'am.
As long as they meet everything.
Yeah, so once those corrections are added on the final plat, then I just reach out to Randy for the final signature.
Okay.
You gotta find me first.
Yes,
Yeah,
gotta track Randy down. I think I may know where he lives.
You might. I know Jason does.
And again, those 2 contingency items are in the staff report.
Okay.
Somebody tried to get me to replat mine the other day, and it's like, I don't think so.
May be able to retire, D, if you replat that and sell it.
Yeah, but then I'd have to look at people.
He's retired now.
Retired, that's right.
Luke's gotta have the moving expenses, that's why he wants to replat this. Anybody have anything further for Mr. Conlon?
No.
If not, we'll close the public hearing at 6:14. Thank you, Luke. And that brings us to Whoop, I skipped over one. Agenda item number 7. I got out of order here. Consideration and possible action regarding the replat application submitted by Luke and Jill Conlon for the replat of 5 lots into 3 lots. The property affected is located at 902 Victoria Avenue in Navasota, Grimes County, Texas, 77868, legally described as Felder, Block 33, lots 1 through 5, acres 0.832, and all of the alley.
I move that we approve the replat application as stated.
With
Second.
with the
With the contingency on the utility easement and,
Form number 6.
yeah, form number 6.
We have a motion from Commissioner Barczyk for the rezoning, or excuse me, the replat with the conditions.
Second.
A second from Commissioner Copeland. Any further discussion?
I wonder what it looked like with 5 lots there. Had to be pretty tight, really.
Mhm.
Okay.
All in favor signify by stating aye. Aye. Any opposition? Seeing none, the motion carries. And that brings us to item number 8. Conduct a public hearing for the purpose of receiving public comments and testimony regarding amending Chapter 10 of the Subdivision Regulation, Article 10.02 Subdivision Ordinance, Exhibit 10A Subdivision Development, Article 7 Requirements for Improvements, Reservations and Design related to streets, utility location standards, and cluster mailbox areas of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Navasota, Grimes County, Texas. And we will open this public hearing at 6:17.
Mr. Chairman, Planning and Zoning Commission, to briefly summarize the proposed amendments, over the last few months, staff has been really just collecting a list of things as we run into. As you know, ordinances are never perfect, and so sometimes you have to make adjustments and amendments as you see fit. One of the amendments included in here is the workshop discussion we held a few months ago about cluster mailboxes. Currently, the requirement is to install a trash receptacle anytime there's a new subdivision with a cluster mailbox area. After discussion and workshops, and we also did a little bit of trial run in a few neighborhoods, that's being now changed, or that was agreed to be changed to make it optional for the developers. So that amendment is in here. The other two are related to mainly feedback that we've received from Public Works. Those guys work really closely. Once a development is approved, they see things, boots on the ground. So one of the amendments is to change the utility service line locations. So the service lines are the actual taps or lines that go off the main that provide services to the homes. And so they're changing the location. When you have 2 lots, normally the service lines are installed in the middle of the 2 to feed both homes. Previously, it was set to 2 feet. That's a little bit too tight per Public Works, and so we're changing that to 4 to give those guys a little bit more buffer to work in. Sanitary sewer taps, that stays the same. They just added a provision in there unless otherwise determined by the engineer. And the last one is the top of water meter boxes. When the developer finishes a project, the meters are installed. Usually at that point it's just dirt. By the time the home builder gets in there, puts the sod and brings a lot of fill in, that lot may go up another foot or 2. And so before there was wording in here about 1/2 inch above top of soil, but obviously that changes as the home progresses. So now we just said it has to be at the final grade, and that way we can push the home builders to make sure that it is at the top of grade. The SCADA system that the city uses to read meters remotely, it doesn't really work well when that meter box is underground or even below the normal elevation of the ground. So getting that at the top of the yard essentially improves communication, and it decreases on misreads. So that's critical for even utility billing. And the last amendment is concrete streets. So one of the things, I know that if you drive around the city right now, there's lots of construction going on, lots of dusty roads. For a good reason. Most of those roads are asphalt. Asphalt it requires a lot of maintenance, a lot of work over the years. Concrete streets have really shown around town that they have really, there's some cracks and things, but they really do last much longer than asphalt. So moving forward, after feedback from Public Works engineer and other staff, it's really important that the city moves forward on requiring concrete streets. We've been lucky, a lot of the big developments that have happened recently, the developer has chosen to do concrete streets, but moving forward, we want to make that as a requirement. But we did leave the wording in there that if for a special scenario, city engineer, reviewing engineer feels that a change is needed, it could happen, but baseline is concrete streets. And so those are the three amendments, and if y'all have any questions about any of those, myself and I know Jason probably can add a little input on one of those items too, so.
I noticed on the current service line locations, there was another item that was removed.
Yes, we had an actual picture that showed.
Cleanouts or something like that.
Yes, so when you're dealing with a very tight right-of-way and utility easement in the front of your lot, many years ago, there's as time has progressed, there's been more and more companies that want to go in that easement. You have power has moved underground now, utility, cable, internet, there's just more and more things. And so the previous amendment, we set to your water meter has to be at the edge of the easement. But that caused issues because we were crossing everyone else, crossing over cable, crossing over telecommunications. And so removing that requirement, we're actually working on a new standard detail with Public Works. Our new graduate engineer, John, he's putting together a new detail that shows where everything needs to be, cable, power, just cleaning up that easement, because there's just a lot of things underground, and that ordinance limited us on where we could make those changes. Mm-hmm. So instead of requiring it and being a hard line in the ordinance, that's going to be moved to our design guidelines, where our engineer has flexibility to make changes. So it just cleans it up, and like I said, it helps us alleviate conflicts that we've been seeing out in the field.
I have a question about one word, and it's just wordsmithing to
Mm-hmm.
me. The word adequate, that's just so open to misinterpretation.
Adequate.
Under the streets, adequate provisions shall be made for, culverts, drains, and bridges. It's just like, everybody's going to say their provision is adequate. I thought, ooh, can we use something different there? Or either leave it out?
Well, I think generally the scope of that paragraph is saying in accordance with the Unified Design Guidelines. So, we could add that at the end of the sentence to say adequate provisions in accordance with
Yes.
the Unified Design Guidelines.
Yeah, I think that makes
To point again to that.
Yes.
So people don't just argue that, hey,
mine
one
was
sentence and
adequate and,
yeah, right.
Yeah, that was concerning to me. I can see it being twisted.
Yep, we can add that in there, not a problem.
I think the only other thing I had, it's not really relative to this particular mailbox thing, but looking back at adequate parking and/or traffic around cluster mailboxes that aren't in like a community
Mm-hmm.
area specifically. So not on this agenda item, but
Mhm.
we should be a further discussion, because there's still lots of issues at the one out in Pecan Lakes.
Yep, there is.
Yep, nobody's gone through Jason's yard yet.
Not yet.
So you made note of that one?
Yes.
Okay. Anything else?
This is a public hearing, right?
Yes.
Okay, so then I will ask a question. So I was a part of this committee, I think, when we added trash receptacles to the mailboxes. Curious what the reasoning is to want to remove that. And if it is removed, potentially the city could look at some procedure for the trash company to pick up from those locations. Because right now, at least in the subdivision that I used to represent, we were the trash people as well. We had to pick it up and take it to our house and throw it away because the trash company wouldn't stop there and pick it up. So just interested in the insight of that.
I think that, I mean, I know exactly the situation you're talking about, that in the newer communities, we see that the trash receptacle is just a polycart. So obviously that's much easier for the trash company to pick up. And so I think because we left it vague enough where it says trash receptacles are encouraged but not required, I think that gives us a little bit of flexibility as we're working through the process. We can add that to the guidelines to say it has to be something that's serviced by Republic if they so choose to install it, and that can be added to our guidelines.
Yeah, but also you gotta remember out at like Pecan Lakes, even though there is a polycart, it's not accessible to Republic Services because polycarts, depending on where you have them, Republic Services can only go so much to recover it. They're not gonna get out of their vehicle.
No, yeah, so somebody from the HOA still has to put it out on the curb, but at least you don't have to take it to your house in that
Right, so
situation.
would that not be a part of the design standards that we would come up with when approving the site location for the mailbox cluster, is that it is accessible so that that doesn't happen in the future? In our neighborhood, where I used to live, people would their trash mail just falls on the ground. And once I added a trash can, they didn't throw it on the ground anymore. Now, sometimes it'd fall out, but the majority of the trash wasn't left behind. But it also did pick up, household trash. But, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, that was, I think at the workshop, that's mainly what we discussed. There was a lot of complaints about people emptying their car out into a trash can, and then it's overflowing, and then there's just trash everywhere.
Yeah, rodents, and throw out your McDonald's on your way home, and yeah.
So if you have a good HOA that it pays attention to what's being thrown away, like I did, most USPS and UPS packages have their name and address on them.
yeah.
So.
Yeah.
I have photos of some of those.
Yeah, if only fast food bags had addresses, right?
But
That make
in the
things
fast
easier.
food bags, it's a
Probably
problem.
DoorDash hasn't, man.
Yeah, maybe DoorDash, yeah.
You have DoorDash?
There you go. Yeah. There's only one Randy in Pecan Lakes, right? Maybe.
What's on the burger?
I will admit, I've never used the polycart for any trash.
I've never used DoorDash. Do we have it?
Yeah, we do.
We do? Oh my gosh, that's so cool.
They could really not deal with anybody.
Right, exactly.
Any other concerns or questions about this? If not, we will close the public hearing at 6:27. Thank you for your input, Councilman Foltz. And that brings us to agenda item number 9, consideration and possible action, conduct, amending Chapter 10 subdivision regulation, Article 10.02 subdivision ordinance, Exhibit 10A subdivision development, Article 7 requirements for improvements, reservations, and design related to streets, utility location standards, and cluster mailbox areas of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Navasota, Grimes County, Texas.
Make a motion, we approve them with the changes.
Have a motion to approve with a minor change,
I'll second it.
and a second from Commissioner Hancock. Any further discussion? Seeing none. All in favor signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? See no opposition, the motion carries. And that brings us to, I don't have a, hold on. Agenda item number 10.
Minutes.
Consideration and possible action on approval of the meeting minutes for the February 8th, 2024 meeting.
Randy, I don't think that made it in the attachment.
I've got it.
I have it.
You have it?
I do too.
Oh, maybe it's just my printout.
I had to search for it, but I
Oh,
have it.
okay, good deal.
I move that we approve the minutes
for February 8th, 2024.
as presented.
Have a motion from Commissioner Barchett.
I wasn't here, so I
I
don't,
wasn't here either.
yeah, so I don't feel
That's up
good
to you,
about.
Debbie.
I second it.
Debbie seconds it, so.
Debbie
All in favor
seconds,
signify
okay.
by stating aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Seeing none, motion carries. And finally, that brings us to adjournment. We'll adjourn at 6:30 PM.